The Alpha Podcast with your hosts from LarsonPress.com, Adrian Larsen, and from TMNutrition.net, Tony Montgomery.
You think I'm out-angling you right now? Like, how do you do that? Like, is this how you out-angle somebody?
It looks like you're trying to take poop. That voice you made. I don't do that. If you're just big, you don't have to out-angle.
So you just don't try?
No.
You're not that big, though.
Yeah, exactly. Worst thing you do is try to out-angle someone and then you still look small.
Then you look smaller?
At least you can just stay where you're at and have an excuse.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, guys. This is the Alpha Podcast. Today, Tony and I are going to kind of talk about the last couple weeks of stuff we've been doing. Tony recently competed in San Diego.
Yes, sir.
The RPS Open.
US Open.
US Open. And then this last week I went down to Super Training and trained with Mark Bell and the folks down there. So that's kind of the stuff we're going to talk about. We have a bunch of interesting stuff that came out of that meet. I really want to talk about Daniel Bell's hand.
What about it?
It got hurt?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Huh.
Yeah, weird.
I saw on Pornhub that it got like stuck in between some weight and a strap, maybe.
Yeah. No. So let's see. So yeah. So Dan already did his squat, I believe, and he didn't get it because he didn't hit depth, and then he was kind of getting like Zahir. He was getting Zahir pumped up, ready to go, and I think Dan originally went to go back spot him. And I guess he just probably got caught up in the moment, helping his friend out and, just wanted to, get him motivated, but then followed him out to the platform. You know how you get hyped up and go do that. So I think he went to go back spot him, but they said, I don't think he was allowed to. So he moved to the side to side spot. And when Zahir was coming up, I think he lost his balance, or I'm not exactly sure why he dumped it, but then he dumped it backwards, and Daniel was probably the only one that kind of followed the weight to try to grab it. I think all the other spotters just kind of let it do its thing, and his hand got caught under the bar and in the strap for about 3 seconds. Yeah. And they were able to pick it up, and he was able to like grit it out and do the rest of the meet. And I think he might have broke his pinky. I think it was his pinky that was messed up because he benched and deadlift without his pinky on the bar. And but I mean, he eventually did all his squats and didn't quite hit depth, which I'm sure he'll work on. I know people give him crap all the time about some of his squats being high, but I know Daniel's always one of those guys that are trying to get better and always says that he's trying to get better, and he always says that he'll improve, and typically when he says that, he does. So I'm excited to see what he comes back and does after this meet to kind of shut some people up.
Yeah.
I know he's doing the meet in October in Australia, the Big Dogs meet. So we'll see what he does there. And but yeah, he ended up doing the rest of the meet, benched the PR and pulled a PR, I believe,
without a pinky.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like that impressive.
Well, sure, but just being
it's
hurt.
A pinky.
Yeah, but just being hurt, Shit.
It's a pinky.
I know, but like, it hurts still.
I don't know. I was watching Lone Survivor the other day, and what he was able to do with a bone sticking out, his tibia busted. I don't know. I mean,
so that spot talking about Lone Survivor. I just watched a deal where Marcus Luttrell was talking about that actual final fall where he ended up like making his way to the water and then, whatever, kind of rescued by a non-terrorist, I guess. He said that he
You're
actually...
just trying so hard to find a politically
I
correct way of saying that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No problem, bud. He said that he couldn't walk. He was crawling, and he said that he wanted to die. He said he was done, right?
Yeah.
And all he could think about is his brother was a Marine, and if he died, what kind of an impact that would have on his brother. So he said that he took a rock and reached out as far as he could in the dirt and drew a line And then when he got to a spot where his toes passed that line crawling, then he'd draw out another line. He said he just kept doing that. He said it was 7 miles of that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't think I could walk 7 miles right now without stopping. And this dude crawled in probably the worst physical shape he's ever been in his life.
Yeah. I mean, SEAL training is probably some of the toughest training. You're, going through the special forces training stuff. You learn to, it's more of a test of will and mental fortitude than it is of actual, like, physical endurance, physical strength. Everything they do is to reinforce mental toughness and is to, kind of get you in that mindset of you're never out of the fight. As long as you're breathing, you still go, because one, your brothers are dependent on you to do it, and two, it's just, you are who you are for a reason. Like, you find that spot inside you, that place you go to where you don't really feel the pain, and you push through. And that's, some people have that, some people don't. And that mental toughness is something that they've trained and they have down to a science in the SEAL training and stuff. And even then, I've seen some people that thought they were extremely mentally tough, and you go overseas and you get into a firefight, and those people that you thought were tough, really, you just never know how you're gonna, like, respond or react to a situation that the human brain is not prepared to go through. It's not something that you see on a day-to-day basis. You may see it in the movies, but if you're not born and raised into that, then it's you just don't know how you're going to react, and you just pray that you can do the best you can. And for me, whenever I was overseas, it was my ability to know that I have to be at my best, so that I don't care what happens to me, but as long as I'm able to do my job to my best ability, then I know that the people around me will still be alive and still be able to do what they're doing and go back to their family. And once you find that bigger purpose of why you're doing stuff other than your own security, your own sense of being, I think that can kind of push you to a new level and drive you past anything that you've ever thought you could do. And yeah, I mean, you get those stories all the time, and to the normal person, it blows your mind to think, that the human body can do that. But I think a lot of people are way more capable of doing stuff than they think they are. But it's, if you've never pushed yourself, if you've never challenged yourself, how do you know what you're capable of doing? There's so many people that live their life in fear of what's to come, and and not really ever take the chance to, like, push themselves and to do different things and to live a life of courage. And those guys that join the special forces, those guys are definitely the cream of the crop when it comes to that stuff. And
it's crazy that you think about, like, just trying to get one more rep or try to get one more PR, and then you hear a story like that. It's like, gosh, I thought what maybe I did in the gym was hard. That's like a whole nother level,
Yeah.
Makes what you put, and makes what we do in the gym kind of in perspective of, it's okay to push yourself a little bit harder.
Yeah, definitely. And, I know a lot of people get really upset when you compare, your gym mentality to the military and all that stuff, because clearly it's a completely different ball game of, sacrificing your life and doing whatever it takes.
Yeah, it's not even on the same level.
But you can definitely, take away from that perspective to build your own character, as a person inside of the gym. I know you're not comparing the two at all, but you're saying, an introspective thought of, like, man, if you can just dig just a little bit deeper, how much better are you going to be able to get? And that's, that's the thing, man. That's the thing that they teach you in the military is, there's always something left to give until you're not breathing anymore. There's always something that you can do. And I think if you can put that into like your everyday life, it's like, are you getting better that day or are you staying the same? And if you're doing stuff to stay the same, then are you truly like living the life that you have? Because you only get one of them, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not a person that believes in there's this magical afterlife of bliss and peacefulness and happiness, right? You get one life to live it to the fullest and live it to your best ability and give everything you have. So by the time you give your last breath, right, you've done everything that you could do to be the person that you are that day with, and I think a lot of people, they'll say that you shouldn't live a life of regrets. And I think if you're ever doing anything outside of your comfort zone, if you're ever trying to push something to the limits, there's always going to be some type of regret because you don't know what's going to come about because you're doing stuff that you've never done before, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It just means that, like, you're doing stuff that no one else is doing, and you may end up regretting it later down the road, but at least you took that opportunity and that chance to put yourself to become a better person.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one of the biggest takeaways I've ever gotten from the military and throughout the training and overseas and stuff was just, there's always a little bit more to give, and don't doubt yourself for a second, because the moment you doubt yourself is a moment that you could be dead, or a moment that your brothers could be dead. And
yeah,
it's definitely something that I carry with me for sure with everything that I do. It's like when you go overseas, you got their back, and you're gonna do everything you can to make sure that everything's okay. They'll be okay. They'll be able to go back to their family, and they'll be able to go back to their loved ones. And coming back in the States and doing my own business and doing everything, I know that if I'm able to commit to them with my life the way that I did, then I know that anything that I do business-wise or in my life is never going to be as hard as that. So I'll be fine.
Right.
Like, I got this.
Right.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think unless you go through, unless you put yourself through certain struggles in life, then as soon as adversity hits, because it's going to come, right? Life doesn't really give you warning shots of, hey, shit's about to happen. It's just going to happen in an instant. And if you've never put yourself in those uncomfortable situations to get better and grow as a human being, then you're going to be fucked.
Right.
You're going to run back to your parents. You're going to, your life's going to be over. You're going to go into this state of like, why me? Oh man, I can't believe this happened to me. And not really
be a victim.
Yeah, you definitely have that victim mentality if you've never had a struggle in your life. That's for sure.
It'd be interesting, like you said. You can't compare the two at all, but even in just like regular life, work life or relationships, or how you hold yourself as a person, being able to take everything to the next level. Like when things get difficult, keep pushing. It's kind of what I take out of the Marcus Luttrell speech. He just. He was specifically giving that speech to Alabama football team, and he's just talking about, hey, we're playing football and we're going to fight and fight and fight, and he went through this and was able to overcome it. It's like, gosh, the next time I, have a tough time with something in life, it's like, God, it's not that tough. Like, right. He pushed that hard. Why can't I push through this?
Yeah. No, it's a great mentality to have in sports and life. It's, you got that extra. Give that extra inch, right? Mm-hmm. Get that first down, hit one more rep. So, smash the PR. Like, it's a mentality that you have to have, and it's a mentality that you can take away from guys like Marcus Luttrell, and Jocko Willem is another guy who puts out a lot of great stuff. The military is not something to really ever compare to, but you can definitely take so much from it.
Bits and pieces out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And put that towards whatever endeavor you're doing, which for us it's the gym, and it's our business, and it's our family life, you know, and know that like there's going to be struggle, but just keep pushing, you know. If it's something that you really want bad enough, just push through it, and at the end of the day, not only will you achieve it, you'll become a better and stronger person because of it, you know. And I think whenever adversity hits, whether it's an injury, whether it's, you know, something doesn't go your way, you're either going to become a better person from it, or you're going to get that victim mentality,
right.
And you're going to be crying the rest of your life when it comes to that.
Well, now I'm going to have to reconsider my options here with this shoulder. I'm not going to be able to play the poor me card anymore.
Well, yeah, but you can play the idiot card and not get it fixed and always have a bum shoulder. But, you know, don't be...
I'm not the brightest guy.
That's the problem.
Never claimed to be.
So maybe you should, instead of, like, pushing yourself in the gym, maybe you should push yourself to, like, maybe read a book.
Yeah.
You know?
Read a book?
Yeah. Not the audio version.
Is there a podcast?
There's an audio version, yeah.
No, talking about the shoulder, you know, I got the cortisone shot in this shoulder, and now I'm going to do an MRI on this one, and we'll do a cortisone shot in this one, and then in a few weeks we're going to do the stem cell replacement in both shoulders at the same time.
That sounds awful, man.
It's not going to be fun, but
what was the diagnosis they gave you?
They said in my right shoulder I have a slap tear in my labrum and a rotator cuff tear. And there's some sort of issue with where my bicep attaches to the shoulder. However, he seems to think that all of this stuff is stuff I've dealt with for years, and probably experienced the pain, and it's just getting worse because of tendonitis in my shoulder.
Okay.
So it definitely was much more encouraging, this appointment, than it was my first one. My first appointment was, you're done lifting, hang it up, you're done, you know, you'll never bench more than 225.
Yeah.
So when I left that appointment, like, it was a shock, you know, like, when he said those things, I didn't really ask the questions I should have asked. I was just kind of like, shit, well, you know, what do I do now? Like, I'm so close to achieving some of my goals, I don't want to take a step back or never even be able to achieve those goals. And when I saw a specialist, he was kind of putting me back at ease, and time to get back to work. Yeah.
Now, you think because you're chasing these goals so much that you're kind of losing sight of, you know, getting healthier, taking a few steps back to get healthier instead of just putting a Band-Aid on it to keep pushing would be a better option? Or you just, you know, because I know a lot of times people get these numbers in mind and they push themselves to where they're kind of pushing themselves into the ground and they start to regress, but then they push a little bit harder. Instead of just being like, all right, maybe I should just stop, fix what's going on, start from zero, and then work my way back up healthier.
Right. Yeah, I think originally when I put this goal in mind, it was, there's nothing that's going to stop me. I'm just going to go, and when things get hard, I'll just go a little bit harder. And, you know, after kind of this happened, and you kind of get that, oh shit, it might be over.
Yeah.
It's kind of opened my eyes up that, you know, I do got to take care of things. I got to fix things. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to take a step back and go, okay, let's fix this and then move forward. I'm kind of trying to do things a little bit more smart. As an example, doing things on my days off, you know, my days off from training, doing a lot more mobility things. Obviously following up with doctors and trying to figure out now what's the deal with the bicep and how can we fix those things, and what kind of things do I need to stay away from? So I think I'm always going to continue to try to push forward, but try to do it a little bit more smart. When I start to feel things, it's not always the best to just keep going. You know, maybe it's time to move on and do something different. You know, and come back to that later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good approach. Definitely.
I'm getting old, man. I don't have very many more years left.
How many more years do you think?
Well, I think by like 40, 41, it's like, I think the peak is over.
You're just going to call it there?
I don't know if I'll call it. I think, you know, I'll always compete, but I think that's when it just kind of slowly starts to dip off.
So how do you go from, right, you peak and say you get the 600-pound bench press that you've always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, from that point on, it's only going to get worse. how do you show up meet to meet
Mm-hmm.
and get progressively worse as you age? Like, do you set different goals, or what's the mindset going into that?
So I think like putting all of your variables in place, right? I think everybody talks about these PRs, and you should always look at your progression based on where you're at in life, not really what's your all-time PR or what's your best ever, but kind of where you're at right now. You're pushing yourself based on, did you get enough sleep? Do you have relationship problems? Is work poor? Did you not eat enough? Whatever the case is, but you got to live in just that moment. I think as I get older, I start to realize that some days I go to the gym and I might only bench 500 pounds, but I have to be okay with that because that's where I'm at for that day.
Yeah.
2 weeks from then, I might bench 575, and I need to be okay with that because that's where I'm at that day. And I think just kind of maturing as a lifter and understanding that different days are going to be at different spots, and you just have to accept it.
Yeah, but that's going to really mess up your Instagram likes.
You think so?
Yeah.
See, the way that I look at it is it like my bench might go down, but my maturity, handsomeness, I don't know.
You don't get likes for that, though. You only get likes for hitting lifetime PRs with straps. And
you could still write that in there.
Throwing on a slingshot and saying that'll be there on meet day. That's what I like, is putting on the slingshot and hitting a number that I'm not ever going to come close to on a meet and be like, yep, that's probably going to be my third.
I'm right there.
It's going to be my third attempt on meet day.
That slingshot grinder.
Yeah. Or throwing on some deadlift straps and pulling a lifetime PR that I can't hit at a meet, I don't know, a month before or a month after that. That's what I like to do because, what you do in the gym is going to be way more important than what you do at a meet, because when you're at the gym, you can make sure that all your friends are behind you cheering you on. Like it's a good
cameras are out.
Yeah, maybe like get the right angle. But when you're at a meet, it's hard because there's actual judges there. You got to do it legitimately. So it's hard to capture that moment like you can when you're by yourself at the gym with all your boys there.
Well, I think you need to recant that statement because not all federations have the same strict judging. So some it might be a little more relaxed than others. So,
but even then, it's just hard to get that same shot. I've never been to a meet where the judges got out of the way so you can film yourself for social media.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, no, that's.
Or maybe we could have them. The judges should film it.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, they should film it so they're right there.
Well, yeah, that's important.
Yeah, it's way more important.
I've seen a guy go to the head judge spot just so he could film a lift and then leave as soon as the lift was over.
Wow.
Did he get a white light? Of course.
Why wouldn't he?
Did he watch the actual lift? Hell no. But you know what?
That's going to get some Instagram likes.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
That is all that matters.
Not legitimacy on the platform. Which kind of goes back to how you derailed us from our original conversation.
Yeah.
That's what was so appealing to me about the RPS meet, right? Is that originally it was supposed to be an SPF meet, but because Gracie sponsored by Inzer, I guess SPF was having issues with Inzer gear or whatever the case was.
Sure.
And Gracie also wanted to have USPA judges to add more legitimacy to the meet. Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, SPF wasn't too fond of that. So she changed to RPS, and this is all hearsay. I don't really know the truth behind it. So we had USPA judges at the meet, which added a lot more legitimacy to it, which has made it that much more appealing to go down there and do. Right? And the fact that the RPS was cool with that says a lot about them and how their federation is growing, because they just got some of the better meets just kind of switched over to RPS from other federations just because they see the potential, because obviously you need, USPA is great for people that want to do the ER rack and, do that type of stuff, but you also got to have the lifters that like using the monolift, and you got to have something that appeals to them, but it needs to still be legit and strict, and the fact that the RPS was able to do that says a lot about the growth of that federation. And, unfortunately, the lifters that are kind of known to squat high didn't quite make the cut at the RPS meet, and the ones that are known to have more legitimate lifts all seem to do just fine with the judging. And that doesn't mean anything against those lifters. That just means that, they're going to work on their craft and, get a little bit better so they can go and do the meets and compete with everyone, and that was what's great about it, was the amount of lifters that were there that you were able to compete with was probably some of the best, was definitely the best set of lifters that I've ever seen at a meet. And it was extremely smooth meet. Everything was ran about as perfectly as you can run a meet, especially with a whole flight of multiply lifters,
right,
which I've never experienced before. And
so slow.
Yeah, but it was able to, everything kind of moved pretty good. It was a good pace. Everything was great. And besides my performance, everything was great.
Sure.
But, that's for another,
that's for a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
I talked to a handful of people that competed at that competition, and not one person had a negative thing to say about anything.
Yeah.
They said Gracie V did an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
For her first meet ever running, it was awesome. And it's only going to get better. That's what's so great about it. Right. And for all the big name lifters that were there were absolutely like no egos in the warm-up room. Everybody was cool. Everybody was talking to each other. Everybody was helping each other out, making sure that everyone got their warm-ups that they needed. Because we only had one monolift in the warm-up room. And somehow I got bunched up with all the big guys squatting.
You probably just went off of body weight.
But I was super, super
I was 7 pounds less than them.
Yeah. No, I was the only 242er. And I got bunched up with them because I have such a great opening squat, which seemed to be like, that's my tipping point. Like, whatever I open with is, and then you just call it a day there.
Right. Did you walk in like Muhammad Ali would and be like, the champ is here?
No, I thought about it.
I could see that.
Yeah. I'm saving that for like maybe when I'm actually good enough to say it.
Maybe Australia.
Australia, that should be a good meet, man.
You need like a bag handler down there?
I'm not going to pay for you to go.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Maybe you can get your... Oh, never mind. Sponsors don't pay for stuff like that. Except for mine. My great sponsors, Donuts and Deadlifts and Kabuki Strength Lab. But yeah, it's... RPS meet was great. A lot of really cool lifters. Like I said, the warm-up room, everyone was helping each other out. I was probably one of the weaker lifters in the flight, and they made sure that I got my attempts in that I needed, and they were stripping plates. Everybody was just, it was great camaraderie. After weigh-ins, we went and had breakfast with JP and Rob and Justin, and it was just a really good time, man. It just felt like you were just lifting with your boys, and it was great. And then the female athletes that were there was just, they really put the guys to shame. Yeah. Oh man, it was amazing. I think there might have been like 10 all-time world records set at the meet by the ladies.
Wow.
And it was a battle. It was definitely a battle for best overall lifter. Susan ended up pulling it out.
Salazar?
Yeah.
Good for her.
I don't think I've ever seen Susan miss an attempt, and I don't think I've ever seen Susan not win best overall lifter. Like, if you just want to see someone perfection to the T, just watch Susan at a meet. It's like her attempt selection's perfect. Everything's just perfect, and it's great to watch. And I would say with RPS, they don't differentiate between knee sleeves and wraps.
Right.
So Susan was in wraps, and she still got the best overall lifter. But I think Eva was second,
and she was in sleeves.
And she was bare kneed. Yeah, she did. Oh. She competed at 148 and totaled 12:01 or 12:05. So she's the lightest person to total over 1,200 in knee sleeves. That's crazy. Yeah,
that is crazy.
Yeah, and then
good for her.
Yeah, and then April Schumacher. Usually competes at 105, cut down to 97, and she set the all-time bench. 97 pounds, she benched 210. Like, what? Insane. And then she set the all-time total record. And then Emily Hu, she's from Boss Barbell. she's 123, set the all-time bench record at 275. Crazy bench. And then she set the all-time total record in sleeves. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but
275 at 123?
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. It was crazy. And
you ever get like nervous that one of these girls are gonna bench as much as you? Like,
no,
they're
because
closing that gap right now.
Well, okay, first off,
they're closing the gap.
just because I didn't bench 500 doesn't mean they're closing the gap.
No, they're closing that gap for sure.
Well, yeah, mainly because my bench is staying in the same spot, and theirs are progressively getting better.
Because you don't know any good benchers that could help you with your bench.
No. I know some circus benchers.
Maybe you should talk to Emily Who.
I actually were pretty good friends, so.
Ask her how she's closing that gap to your bench.
Yeah, no. I think if I ever saw them warming up and it was getting close to 4 plates, I'd probably sabotage them.
You would?
Yeah, of course.
Go and like bump into the bar as they're going.
My ego would not allow that to happen. But the girls killed it. Zahir and his wife came down from whatever continent they come from. And they were super nice. They were pretty cool. Mainly because I didn't really talk to them because they don't speak that great of English.
Does his wife lift?
Yeah, she's
pretty jacked.
Oh man, unbelievable. She was like, I think she weighed in at 198 or 181, and she had quad separation.
Oh,
just walking around, not flexing. It was amazing.
Oh my
She was
gosh.
jacked, absolutely jacked. And then
I get that quite a bit.
No, you don't.
I get quad separation.
No, never seen it. You don't even have arm separation.
I do a little. I'm starting to get veins.
No,
a little bit.
Just like one lump. Whatever.
Whatever
you want to call that. And then JP Price obviously walked out 1,003 and squatted it pretty good. He had more in him, but I think he had to take his... he missed his second attempt for depth and came back and got it on his third, I believe. And then in the 132 weight class for guys, there was a big battle between Richard Hawthorne and Gerald. And Gerald ended up edging him out.
Wow.
And Richard's just getting back into competing. He took 3 years off, and this was his first full power. So
he cut his hair too.
Yeah, you're so observant.
Yeah,
we'll keep that away. I think what he was because he saw you with your shaved head, and he's like, man, if I can shave my head and bench like him, then I'll be good. Yeah. So Richard actually has 3 meets this year. So the way he sets it up is he's peaking for the last meet of the year. So he doesn't try to go into every meet at his all-time best. So hopefully Gerald and him can meet again in November when he competes again, and then they can both kind of go at it because neither one of them had the days that they wanted to or were capable of. So that would always be fun because there's not a lot of 132ers. There's Brandon Smitely from Elite FTS, Richard, and then Gerald. So anytime those guys can go head-to-head is always awesome to watch. I mean, 132 pounds, deadlifting close to 6, squatting mid-5s, and benching mid-3s. It's crazy. And
there's guys at 181 that don't do that.
Well, I can barely do that.
Well, yeah.
I'm a fat 242er. And then, a buddy of mine, Jeremy, from CSA, he had the biggest deadlift of the day, 827 pounds.
And he's a young guy, right?
At 220. Yeah. He's a young guy. Usually competes at 198. But Jesse wanted him to stay big and just stay strong, and he totaled 1895 in sleeves.
Wow.
At 218 pounds, 220 pounds. Okay, look, let's just get this out of the way here.
Here we go.
Okay?
Here we go.
There's weight classes for a reason, right? So if you weigh in at 210 pounds and you say you competed at 210 pounds, that just tells me that you didn't want it bad enough to get up to 220. Like, if you're just going to just want people to be like, oh my God, you're 210 pounds. I didn't know that was a weight class. You did so well for a 210er. Like, no, there's weight classes for a reason. Just because you can't get up and weight because you're a pussy doesn't mean you got to put your actual weight on everything. Just put the fucking weight class you did. It's not that hard. If I weighed in at 243, you know what weight class I'm in? 275, not the 243-pound weight class. Okay? Can we quit that shit? Jesus Christ. So, on to... Yeah. Oh, man. And then JP and Zahir went head-to-head benching, and I think JP ended up benching 611, and Zahir benched 606.
Wow.
Zahir did end up bombing out of the meet, unfortunately.
On pulls?
No, on squats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. I think he dumped the first one. To be quite honest with you, I don't think any of them were to depth to begin with. But the second one, I think he lost his footing, came back up, and the third one, he got called for depth. And to me, that kind of validated the meet, so to speak, because the judges could easily have been like, "Oh man, Zahir's coming. We don't want him to waste a trip."
There you go.
Yeah, because I've seen that before.
Yeah.
SPF and. You know, you don't want to just give away all-time world records.
Right.
Like, you need to do it the legit way. And you see guys like, you know, Eric Lillibridge, when he squats, he buries it. There's no questions about it. Right. And, you know, he earns that world record. It wasn't given to him. So it was nice to see the judges, like, make you earn it. And that was really cool. And let's see, besides that, I think those are kind of like the notable lifts of the day was the ones that we discussed. And it was just an amazing experience. And I think if I'm lucky enough to get invited back, I made sure that like I sweet-talked Gracie as much as I could, gave her a big hug. You know.
Think the hug helped? So I feel like that's a step back.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think the hugs always help.
I see that as being like, ooh, maybe we'll cut ties with this
one. You
think? That's how I would take that.
Huh.
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens next year.
Starting to regret the hug.
Yeah. You do like a half hug, or was it a full on?
It was a full good squeeze. It was good. Like I made sure she knew I was there.
Yeah, man.
Not like
creepy.
Not like ramming my penis all up on her hug.
Sure.
There was still some space there, but it was like a good chest to chest.
Were you wearing a singlet?
No, I was changed by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe that'll change it.
That could have been awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not rubbing and you're not in a singlet, I think you might be all right.
Yeah. But the bottom line is I just got to get stronger to deserve an invite. And to be quite honest with you, I felt lucky enough this time to get an invite. And, you know, if I'm not totaling, you know, close to 2,000 by next year, then I wouldn't blame her if I didn't get invited back. It's all about just getting stronger. For me right now, after this meet, the quality of my lifts have improved tremendously, but I just got to get stronger so I don't have bad days anymore.
I was definitely looking forward to the 520 bench.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought you smacking that out of the park would have definitely been there. I mean, watching you lift over the last few weeks, definitely looked like it was in the cards.
Yeah. Well, one, I don't think 520 is an actual number in kilos, but you know, when you lift in pounds,
I guess if you ever lifted that much in a meet, then you would know.
I know it's not because I know 518 is there, and I don't think
chips on.
I'm not going to chip 520. That's wrong. You know. Yeah, it was just you know, I don't want it to sound like an excuse by any means, but I decided to take like a whole week off of training because I felt like I just needed. I just talked to a few people, and that's what they were doing, and they're stronger than me. So I was like, you know, I've never tried this before. Let me just take a week off and see like if a full week off helps. And what it ended up doing was it made me feel pretty flat and lethargic. Mm-hmm. You know, like my legs felt heavy and everything felt heavy. And I think I'm just one of those guys because I was talking to a few of the guys down there. Brian Carroll's one of them. And when you do as much volume and frequency as I do, I think you gotta keep pushing that into the meet. And I listened to a podcast of Mike Teixeira yesterday, and he was talking about peaking for meets. And he's like, you know, if everything's going good, why taper? Like, just keep pushing. And for me, it was like every week I was able to add 10 to 20 pounds to all of my lifts. I should have just I almost was like, let me just keep training this way leading up to the meet and fuck it, see what happens. And I decided to take the week off, and I think I felt flat, and then I picked stupid attempts because they were already set in my head, and because I've done them in training that way, and It was just a recipe for disaster. I need to kind of take the day as it is and not lift based on what I think I can hit and just put together a good total. Because I think if I would have taken smarter attempts, I think 1900 would have been there. But
that's the thing that's crazy is we talked about it a little bit when I picked you up at the airport was it all makes sense now. You know, the way that you train, you do train with a lot of volume. You do a lot of work when you're in the gym. And then I can't imagine taking an entire week off. Like, what a shock that is to your body, you know?
Yeah.
The only other times you really take that amount of time off is probably like when you're sick or something major happens, you know, and it's a shock for your body, and it completely makes sense, even though, even myself, I have done that. I've done it that way for years.
Yeah.
But now kind of talking to you about it, it's making me rethink even the way that I do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Yeah, and for me, it's like, you know, I've only been powerlifting for 3 years, so it's all a learning process, and the more you compete, the more you learn about what works best for you. You can't just follow what other people do, but you definitely want to try other things. So that way when these bigger meets come, you already know what works best for you and you can just dial it in. And for me, you know, it wasn't the greatest meet. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I still put up a total. I still hit a PR total. And all my lifts were extremely clean. And, you know, I just got to get better and get stronger so that way whenever I compete in Australia next year and compete at Gracie's meet next year, that, you know, I'll be ready to go and put up a good day and be able to compete with the rest of the guys.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I think all your numbers are right there. I think we got to figure out a way to make it so that you're at the best that you can be the day of the meet.
Yeah.
Whether it's whatever you figure out to do the week before. But you got to pull your head out of your ass and get that 520 bench.
Yeah. Or
this shit's done. Like, to be honest with you.
Who else are you going to find?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I would just get a dummy at that point. Just like put a mannequin right there.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would have to do.
It'd probably be if you're at the same intelligent level as you, so you probably have a pretty good podcast.
We'd have a good conversation.
I think so.
Yeah. Bring the dog in here, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good start. Or maybe your son can come in and run it with you.
Yeah.
Add a little bit to it.
More so than you. Talk about Spider-Man.
I mean, it's better than talking about your shoulder every podcast.
Oh man.
So that's kind of the recap of the meet, and then moving forward, just gonna keep training, and I want to do a sleeve meet at the end of the year, and after that, just train for Australia and see where I'm at.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
Yeah, what about you? What do you got coming up besides the rehab stuff? Do you have your eyes set on a meet that you want to do?
Yeah, you know, I've really been kind of battling on competing again this year. And I think it's unlikely. I really don't want to do another meet until I feel like everything is dialed in. And I feel that even if I were to get things figured out soon, that even the end of the year might be too soon. So I've even contemplated shooting for Gracie V's next meet next year.
No, you're not invited.
No, I'm invited.
No, she didn't. She doesn't want lifters. You're not invited.
Am I invited?
No.
She said I'm invited.
No, not
I'm invited.
All right.
Yeah, I'm invited.
I don't think so.
So or maybe Jesse Burdick's meet then. Fine, I don't need to go to the same meet you're going to go to and watch you not hit 500 again.
Yeah, because 500 is not even a number. It's 501. So of course I would have hit 500. Stupid.
I thought you were doing like 498 and chipping it.
No.
So that's kind of the plan. I
so
really
you're gonna do an SPF meet?
Well,
that's legitimate.
I'm trying to get the quick pause. You know, it's hard on the shoulder the longer the pause is.
So you want that touch and go world record?
Yeah, maybe hide some boards or wrist straps in my singlet or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Good luck.
So I'm going to kind of focus on the rest of the year, just kind of coaching and trying to learn more. I want to put on some good meets during the summer. Really try to figure out how to run really well ran meets that people enjoy going to. I think it takes a lot of practice, so I'm going to focus on that a little bit and just keep lifting. I just keep doing what I do. Yeah, so maybe March or April next year.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that'll be smart.
Yeah, I think
Give
so.
yourself time to heal up and get going. And
I think if you compete too soon, you end up just getting frustrated. You know, when I competed just a couple weekends ago, like, I don't know if you could tell, but that when we were texting each other, like, there was a lot of doubt in my head. Like, is this even doable anymore? And I think when you do that, like, you're taking steps back.
yeah,
And I don't want to do that. I want to have a good performance and people see what I'm capable of doing, and then, you know, and then just go with that.
yeah, nice.
Get some momentum.
Yeah, that'll be good. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
What federation do you run meets?
UPA.
UPA.
Yeah.
Okay, and your next meet is when?
May 28th. We're doing a push-pull here in Oregon City. And then we'll do a full power meet in September, I believe. Well, I'm sorry. June, I'll be doing like a charity meet for the Autism Society of Oregon, or Autism Society of Oregon. And then in September, we'll have a full power UPA meet.
Nice.
And then I'll try to probably do something during the holidays, like November, December time. Something small, like maybe just do a one lift meet. I think it'd be fun, since I have done the bench only meet, to maybe do like a squat only meet, or something that like people would enjoy doing. Like bench only typically isn't people don't enjoy that, you know. That's like usually their worst lift.
It's the most boring lift.
Yeah.
For sure.
So since I don't squat, maybe that's what I could do, is just have people come in and just do like a squat only for fun or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man.
So where can people find out about the meets?
UPA, OregonUPApowerlifting.com.
Okay. Nice.
And then you can find me at LarsenPress.com and Larsen Press on all the social media. Adrian Larsen on Facebook.
Anything else?
I think that's it. Where can people find you?
You can find me at tmnutrition.net, kabukistrength.com. I'm actually just, Chris has a new website coming out, and he's having athletes being featured on it, and I'm also a contributor for the nutrition section, so I'll be doing my training logs and articles and stuff for them, and so make sure you guys check that out. And then social media, just Tony Montgomery Jr. and TM Nutrition on YouTube.
And you're doing, before we end this, you're doing a little 12-week program where you're giving people some free training? Like you're just handpicking somebody, or how's that working?
That was for a contest on Instagram.
Is it over?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But we did just come out with 2 12-week programs that we beta tested on over 25 people with really good results. Everyone who made it through the whole program without quitting or without incidences coming up. Everyone had great results. It's a beginner to intermediate level program. It's a 12-week off season followed up by a 12-week peaking program, and you can get that for $5 on tmnutrition.net.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
So guys need to really follow you on Instagram and social media so they can get take advantage of this free stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
This isn't the first time you've done something like this, and it really gives people an opportunity to check out your style of training or your style of nutrition to get an idea if, you know, there's somebody that they want to go with, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of why I do it, is just to test some of the theories that we've been researching, myself and Desiree, and kind of gives us a chance to work with some newer athletes and help them along the way for free. Just a learning experience for both parties. So
For free, that's a good price.
yeah, I try to.
Awesome.
Yep.
You gonna do our closer?
It's done.
You gotta shoot it. You gotta shoot it. There you go.